Welcome back to Kaleidoscope with Daisy Cousens. I am here with the very excellent Sascha Bailey on his journey to almost transitioning to be a woman and pulling himself back at the last minute. Now, Sascha, while you and I were off the air, we were talking about power and how this whole movement is very powerful people who are using that power to exploit the less powerful, and that can be activists, but it can also be pharmaceutical companies, for instance. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think I think that's kind of what the centers around is the fact that there are people with power who are either using it to hurt people intentionally or just completely apathetic. And I'm not really sure which one's worse. We see it with the shutdown of the Tavistock clinic, in London. We see the kind of, the WPATH files, the CAS report. All of these things are showing that there is a deep lack of empathy. And these people are kind of using, the excuse of I was just following orders. And that's what it basically boils down to. People want to, go home. They want to get them. They want to have money. They want to, look after their family. But they're not really thinking about the consequences of what they're doing a lot of the time. I think the pharmaceutical companies are the same. I think that in the end, they build departments that need to run on this medication selling more, and their bottom line keeps going up. So these departments keep growing. So there are kind of people relying on these power structures and these, incentive-driven machines to get bigger and bigger and bigger over time. And and then they're preying on the most vulnerable people in our society. And a lot of the time, the pharmaceutical companies are obviously a huge part of it. We don't know how much lobbying is going on behind the scenes. We don't know how much of the argument is influenced by these almost spectral companies. But then, going into the influencers as well, we don't know. I saw something the other day where someone was basically saying that taking your ovaries out is the same as getting a tattoo. You can just switch back and forth whenever you want. So it's like the goal of these people who are speaking to young people to go with a huge following and tell them that an irreversible decision is something, that can be changed on a whim, like you're made of Lego. It's sick. It's not something that, I think that we should be supported. I would think that people on the trans side would want these sort of people to not be putting out advice like that, but they kind of celebrate it. And, on one hand, they talk about gender dysphoria and how they feel inside and all of this sort of stuff. But on the other hand, there seems to be a lot of people who are treating it like some sort of body modification. And it can't be both. They run behind the emotional argument whenever you point out the fact that it's looking a lot like a body mod at the moment.